Welcome back to What Was That? In a week that's perfectly normal. There is no crazy activity going on anywhere. Everything's just completely rational and sane with the world. Hi, Nitesh.
Vineet, have you said thank you once?
I am not wearing a suit either.
But the penguins are.
The penguins are wearing tuxedos and they still got taxed. The penguins are wearing tuxedos and they still got taxed. So why bother wearing a suit? So why even cooperate with the administration? If you're a penguin, do not wear a suit. Well,
Yeah, you don't give in to the fish lobby.
Second. Sorry, by the way, we got a comment last week. Our only comment on the YouTube video last week was, I move around too much. To whoever left that comment, thank you firstly for watching. I appreciate it. It's just how I get my energy. I'm moving, man. Like, it's how I'm not a car salesman.
You're leaving out the best part. They said it sounds like a teleshopping channel.
What can I sell? This is Nitesh's influencer era, right? I haven't sold anything yet on this podcast. Have I even recommended anything on this podcast?
Yeah, but the feedback was stop treating this like a Natal audition, which was fair. Oh, I love the internet. In the bottom of my heart, I love the internet.
So, Nitesh, first story in a perfectly rational week.
Where do we even begin with this one? Alright, you remember growing up in the 80s, you'd have that one NRI relative who would travel down and bring Toblerones and the fancy Sony cameras and sometimes Nikes. And if you were really, really lucky or your relative was exceptionally rich, maybe a nice watch.
My dad once got me a small Casio from Russia.
See, something like that. I fear we're going to have to start carrying gifts for our NRI cousins when we visit them soon.
I would, but I am currently scared of going to the US. I fear I will spend a lot of time at the airport and I don't know if I'll get my clothes back.
On the plus side, you might go for a beach holiday. Impromptu, unplanned, but you might.
No tattoos, but yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, that makes sense. We should do that for our poor American friends who are. The entire American economy runs on cheap goods. Do you think people will stand for this, for stuff getting expensive? That is what binds American society together. Cheap goods.
Cheap shit, you mean?
Cheap shit.
I don't think they'll have a say in the matter. That much wanted system of checks and balances doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, we're getting into geopolitical territory.
No, but
Nobody knows anything, right? There are no experts anymore. I am just as much an expert as Ezra Klein now, who has gone from being an AI chomo to abundance chomo. But let's not go there.
I have a chomo of my own this week.
Yes.
But we'll get to him.
Story number 2. So yeah, carrying on with story number 1. We will bring stuff for our US friends. Yes.
All right. So here's how I see it. Here's how things stand as of the evening of 8th of April Indian time. The US has painted itself into a corner, and I don't think Trump fully understood what cards in their own language, what cards he held.
Fully understood. Fully. You don't think he fully understood? Fully is doing a lot of very heavy lifting in that sentence. You think he 95% understood?
Nay, again, see, I'm trying really hard not to let my personal opinion of the guy get into the way of. All right, let's look at this as a dispassionate investor.
Sir, we are a podcast. We are not Wikipedia. This is only opinion.
Yeah, I get that, but if you were amoral and didn't care what kind of collateral damage happened to the world, and you were just in it to make some money, you tend to assign probabilities to everything, right? What are the chances that Trump actually doubles tariffs to China or something tomorrow? I don't even know. I cannot keep up with the drivel, so I'm not even going to try, right? And what are the odds of him stepping back from the brink, saying, haha, gotcha, and just pulling back? Because normally when politicians do idiotic large scale projects, the one thing that can pull them back from the brink is shame. And Trump is such a perfect chaotic evil in that grid. He completely occupies that square that you cannot, like, shame is not going to work. It's not a driving factor, right? So what else could bring him back from the brink? Should he come back from the brink? What happens if he doesn't? That's it. That's all I'm saying. These are the three things that can happen. And in each case, what does that mean for the US and for the rest of the world, and specifically for India? Is it like, okay, for the past 2 days, front page, Times of India, the coverage is the rout in the markets, right? Indian markets are just getting hammered, but not as badly as the Hang Seng or the DAX or any of the other indices. And large fund managers are happily saying that no, no, because India is not so fully integrated in the global economy, we will not be affected so badly. And
What does that even mean? What does that mean? That we are not fully
we don't do as much exports as the other guys, especially of goods, which is what is being affected here. And
like, yeah, I guess.
why are you selling that as a feature? It is an embarrassment. Why are you hiding behind that?
On the negative side, our export shrinks after, but on the plus side, we don't have
Wasn't much to begin with.
it's really sad. It's like me being 5'7", and I'm like, when I sit in a flight, I'm like, yay! My knees are not bumping against the seat.
More knee room for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's the sign of being in an abusive relationship that you keep getting hit, and I don't use this metaphor lightly. You keep getting hit, and then you still want to believe the best of your partner, right? I can't help but be optimistic. Like, this is such a great opportunity for Indian manufacturing. It is. It really is. And as much as I try to suppress that optimism, saying no, you've had your heart broken before. Don't do this. Don't give in. I can't help it. You have the SEZ bill. It's right there. Right? You have all the legislative work done already. Just keep your crony capitalism aside for 1 year, just for 1 year. Let people set up factories. Don't charge any taxes on anything that happens there. Criminalize any corruption that happens within that territory, and just watch. Just get out of the way and just watch. Please. Yeah, that's it.
Speaking of watch, did you see that clock tower in Bihar?
I did.
That
Wait, how do you go
to your thought experiment.
how do you go from SEZs to Bihar? Why?
Well,
Why would
you said watch. You said watch. But also, that is the answer to your thought experiment. That is the result of everything going on in India right now. That you think here. Well, instead of thinking here, you think here. For people on the audio show, I'm so sorry. I'm just pointing at things. Then there is the cut, the cut, the cut, the cut, and the exhaustion and the desperation, and you end up somewhere way below, and you end up with that clock tower, which, funnily enough, all the photos I've seen is stuck at 420.
which cannot refer to any section anymore because yeah, the IPC is no longer around. So we'll have to go with the American connotation of that.
Not legal in India, thanks to the Americans. But let's not go there. So yeah, amazing thought experiment. Yes, we can dream, right? But like the outpouring that I've seen on Mr. Piyush Goyal's comments about Indian startups not doing innovation, I would say there is a lot of innovation happening. I went to this entrepreneurship event in Bangalore on Friday. It's a good event. There's a lot of stuff happening. There's a bunch of hardware stuff. There's a lot of mobility stuff. But yes, it's all very, very, like all the stuff I saw there and what I've seen at startup events also. There are a lot of very enthu people, a lot of very talented people, a lot of very intelligent people who want to do a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But also I've heard enough horror stories that, okay, you get to the prototype stage, spend a lot of money. The minute you start trying to productionize things and build a factory and set up manufacturing, reality meet wall. The number of clearances which have vagaries in them, a lot of subjectivity, and the subjectivity is there for obvious reasons. That is where just things go crashing. So in one way, I'm very impressed by these, 10-minute delivery guys to make a system like this in India work. In theory, I also agree that there is not enough deep tech stuff happening in India by a very wide margin. But the amount of the sheer amount of outpouring I've seen of angst from the startup crowd, ki look, please understand, we want to do stuff, but the system is tying us, is holding us back every step. And like you started one episode, right? Like probably the last one. We are used to waking up not knowing whether some cataclysmic business event will happen and just completely wipe us out. That's a very common fear. Like, yeah, VCs, CAs who basically are hashtag Make in India, hashtag Startup India, hashtag Stand Up India on LinkedIn. And all very, 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 I talk to them real world and they're like, go to Singapore. 15 मिनट पे कंपनी रजिस्टर होती है सिंगापुर में.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how I got to the clock tower, because that's what we end up with. But also, another point on that clock tower, I know this is neither your topic nor mine, but it's very funny that a lot of the angst on Twitter I'm seeing is like, look at what babus do. And there is an archetype of the person who complains about babus, right? This is a guy who says that engineers should run the country. Definitely, right? Get someone from IIT. Why are bureaucrats making decisions? Who are bureaucrats? The bureaucrat in question was from IIT, was a mechanical engineer from IIT.
I remember the word technocrat being thrown around a lot in the mid to late. Yeah, but these guys are gonna change things and bring us into the new century, the new millennium, the new whatever.
So my story number 1 is a very interesting one with a lot of facets. I am going to actively be reading out excerpts from an article because it's really funny. The American government, under first mention of Mr. Musk now, I think they're about 15 minutes in or 10 minutes in.
16, not bad.
16, not bad.
Yeah.
Mr. Musk is a famous non-believer in work from home. Nobody can work from home. The fact that he's a man running 6 companies, which means he's working remotely 5 out of 6. He's running 5 companies remotely at any given time. Let's not go there. So he did that with Twitter, immediately cancelled all work from home stuff. He did that with the American government. Everyone has to come back to work. Because obviously, if you're working remotely, you can't work. And it led to chaos. It led to immediate chaos of all kinds. I want to read out some examples. One, and this is a very common one, I don't directly work with anyone in the office I'm going into at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. So I show up and sit on Teams calls. So you are basically doing the same stuff you were doing at home, except now you have a commute. You don't even have colleagues that you know. One says, I definitely get less done because of the distractions. I could work from home. One says some teams aren't even on the same campus because space was limited. So now they are still having virtual meetings with people in other offices in the same campus. And there is just no space for everyone to sit and work together. One is the Wi-Fi doesn't work because there are too many people trying to log in at the same time. One is, there's no internet to connect to because there are security issues, so no Wi-Fi. There was a mention somewhere that toilet paper is running out. There are not enough gate cards to open access points, so the traffic is backed up all the way to the highway, which reminds me of Indian malls doing security theater, where there will be 20 cars trying to get in and one guard, and that bottleneck is there because one guard has to make you open the boot. And even if you have 3 suitcases inside, he will close it, but he has to do that. Security theater. This is interesting. If you're stuck on a floor without enough chairs, you're stuck standing for 8 hours. Unfocused, exhausted, and infirm.
Standing is good for you.
I am standing right now, but apparently I'm moving too much. Standing makes me move too much. I am a tele-shopping channel. Sir, if you're watching again, please don't mind. It was just funny. For private calls, I have to go out to my truck and use my personal phone. I have requested a government cell phone, but they tell me I won't get it since I'm back in an office. We are getting hammered with RTO tickets. What is an RTO? Well, return to office. So the IT team says we don't have enough infrastructure, enough laptops, enough anything to support people who are back in office. This is also funny. People have to spend for work. Obviously, people are spending all kinds of stuff and getting reimbursed. Doge enforced a $1 spending limit on federal credit cards. You can imagine how well that would go. No soap, no toilet paper, no paper towels anywhere in the building. The water machine is broken. The Wi-Fi keeps going. Now, another employee at the Internal Revenue Service says they were told to ration paper. People are bringing their own A4 sheets and pens from home because nobody has any purchasing authority. And those that do, they have a $1 spending limit. How many $1 transactions can you do though? Maybe Amazon should have a new portal for government employees where $1 at a time, they just break up everything. Here are 10 pages out of this 500 for like $1. Well, that's too expensive. This is a debate you've heard in India also, right? Work from home can't work, work from home can't work. My company is remote. They've been doing it for 3.5 years. Like I have employees in Solan, Bhubaneswar, Thane, well, Delhi, of course, Bangalore. One guy has now moved somewhere in the northeast. He started off in Bangalore, now he's moved back with his family. One team member who's sitting in Dehradun right now, shuttles between Delhi and Dehradun. Who cares? You need a laptop, you need internet, you need a phone. You need good internet, yes, you need good connectivity, but who cares about the rest? Where you're working from? That's my rant. Barely a rant. I've done better.
If I had to compel you to make an argument for the other side, is there any plus point upside
Yeah.
to home office?
There are upsides for sure. There is more energy in the room. There are things get left behind. A 2-minute question. If I have to show something to someone, I couldn't just take my laptop across, get an answer. Otherwise, a lot of the times people wait for the next meeting because Teams calls are fairly disruptive. You don't know what the other guy is doing. Like we've figured systems, we've figured protocols that are still easy, right? For example, I don't like WhatsApp calls. We've like separated Teams from WhatsApp completely. No work on WhatsApp at all. Just so once you log off, right? But the energy, the brainstorming, there's definitely a plus. Having said that, so the Delhi team, we do co-working once every 15 days. And it's great. But that commute, getting people together, getting like in one place, then 1.5 hours of traffic at rush hour, repeat, your life is gone. You are not basically then working to live, you're living to work. Your whole day is gone and you're pooped on Saturday and then you're doing stuff like home stuff on Sunday.
Right.
All in all, like some days I wake up at 8:30 and I'm at work at 8:45. I love it. Wouldn't have it any other way.
There was a protest a few months back by the Hyderabad PG Owners Association, if my memory serves, and they were appealing to companies to end work from home and bring people back because they didn't have tenants, and who will think about the poor PG guys who stuff 6 people to a room, charge exorbitant rents. It's the same thing here in Bangalore. But then the argument that is made usually for this is what happens to all the infrastructure that has been built in Bangalore and in Hyderabad. If you extrapolate and say, okay, everybody, since these are all tech companies anyways, everybody's going to work from home, and so you can work from Mysore or Dehradun or wherever, and you don't need to be here. So what happens to Bangalore?
How will Bangalore deal with fewer people? How will Bangalore survive if there are fewer people on the roads?
Fewer people paying taxes. It's a revenue question, right?
Yeah, but more people will pay taxes in Mysore.
But that's not going to help Bangalore in any way.
For sure. But it'll help another city. Like these people are still around.
Are you accusing
Money in their own city.
Are you accusing local politicians of systems thinking or seeing the larger picture? I
never do that, sir.
I know it's related to me, no, but still I people pour one out, no?
Please take it back.
So that's the argument. I know.
I'll give you the other thing. If I had to hire locally, right, I can only hire from a pool within 30 kilometers of my place of work.
or it is to move within that, or compel people to move within that 30-kilometer radius.
I'll come to that point. I'll come to that point. Right. But primarily, I'm hiring from within that pool because as a young startup, I can't pay for people to relocate. Right.
Right.
So primarily, I will hire from within that pool versus the whole country. So we work with freelancers also, right? A lot of our editing talent is in places like Saharanpur, Bulandshahr, Vellore,
Right.
right? Some absolute amazingly creative people are sitting in those places. That is one part. My hiring pool expands to the whole country. Anywhere there is internet, and which is most places, right? There are certain people who are used to a level of micromanagement. They need retraining for sure. Some people will see just can't, right? They are too entrenched in micromanagement,
Right.
which is also the forte of Indian middle managers. They love micromanaging. So sometimes it just doesn't work out. When we say, please, I'll give you a good recommendation, please go work in an office. You need that. Also, I would say freshers sometimes do need a little bit of in-office discipline, training, blah, blah, blah. But mostly, yeah, my hiring pool expands. The second point is people moving, right? I'll take one example of one of one of my teammates lives in a suburb in Bhubaneswar, lives with family, right? Helping out the family, right, in multiple ways.
Right.
And most of her salary then is effectively saved and contribute and supporting the local whatever local spending she does and supports the family, right? Versus if she had to move to Delhi, she would be negative anyhow. She'd be spending money to be here, net negative for sure. And that's true of so many people. So this way, people are actually contributing to their local economy. Tier 2 and tier 3 towns are getting some sort of boost. Our metros are way too overcrowded anyhow. So there's like opportunities open up. And seriously, internet, phone, laptop, who cares about anything else? What's your thought? You run a business. You run an in-person business.
Yeah, I deal in physical goods, so
Yeah.
for the ops part of it, work from home is not an option.
Yeah.
With somebody there to manage dispatches and actually get the goods on to trucks or whatever. That part of it.
At least till Optimus comes around. So about 3 months.
Yeah, sure, we'll see. But until then, that part of it cannot be done remotely. Okay. In fairness, I have done remote work, so I have removed myself in such a small team, being effectively top management. I have removed myself from the equation, and things actually work better when I wasn't around. Because see, what happens is when, and I've seen this in multiple instances at different scales of operations. When you have somebody around who has taken on the mantle of decision maker, it's much easier for people to, especially for the routine, day to day mundane shit, to basically dump all those decisions on that person until they push back and say, "Why are you asking me this?
Yeah.
Do it yourself." Until that pushback happens, there's this very slow moving, but ultimately, it tends to take up so much of the founder's day in just the mundane day to day shit. Like the answer to this question is the same today as it was yesterday, as it was last week, as it was last month. But since you're here, I'm going to ask you. When you're not here, I know what to do. So I have found that the few weeks or months that I periodically do that. I remove myself from the environment itself, saying, okay, I'm only going to be here once a week or once in 2 weeks. And I usually do that when I'm launching a new project or something. If you just I'm sure it's the same even in a manufacturing environment. If you just let people do their jobs and empower them to make decisions and get out of the way, it
Like the first,
good outcomes more often than not.
yeah, like a common question that I do ask a lot is like, does this need founder intervention? Like users for like decisions, for serious decisions, right? But minor decisions work and also decisions in areas where they are more of an expert than I am. That's why I hire them, right? Then they are deep in some areas. So yeah, exactly.
That's cool. The one position where the work could be completely remote and it was on like a project basis while I was still learning how to run ad campaigns
Hmm.
on Amazon for a good year or two. We had somebody who used to do just that, and they were entirely remote for the entire 2 years that they were with us, because they weren't even from Bangalore, in fact. And
Exactly. You can hire the right person no matter where they are.
yeah, it worked really smoothly, and it was great. The transition was really effective. And it just worked because, uh, frankly, outside of the deliverables, I knew nothing about them, and that was so nice to not have to make small talk, to not have to know about their holiday plans or whatever. I don't care. Go have a life. That's great
Exactly.
about it. I don't.
Like give me a good solid 8.5 hours a day, right? Of which hopefully you're doing some serious thinking and serious work for like 6 hours.
Yeah,
Practically the brain, I think, tires out after that, right?
four.
The rest,
Four.
this fair enough. The rest is some admin, coordination, regular work, a serious new thinking type work. Yeah, 4 hours probably. And then enjoy your life. Live a regular life. Great. Tell me if you're doing some very interesting hobby. I'd like to know. But otherwise, great. You don't need to know about my life. I don't need to know about your life beyond a point. Right. Great. Enjoy it. Unfortunately, my team doesn't have a choice. Everyone knows about my cats. They're always on camera.
So I think we've stumbled upon why this topic gets such a strong reaction every time. It's because this is a generational shift
Yeah.
from the micromanaging, we're a family dynamic, to here's what I need from you, here are the hours we work, and outside this, I don't want to know anything else. I wish you all the very best. I hope you have a great, healthy personal life, but I don't want to know about it.
Like, we're a family coming from a startup just screens. We will ask you for unpaid favors.
It'll work. So I think that strikes at the heart of the divide, why it exists and why neither side is going to be convinced otherwise, why it's so well entrenched. No,
I think, by the way, where are Indian industrialists now? Like, we had a 70 hours, then we had a 90 hours. Then Mr. 70 hours went up to 100 hours. Like, where is the auction right now? Have we had a 120? Do I hear a 120? Do I hear a 120 hours a week?
can we move to the second topic of mine?
Yes. Second topic.
All right. So a few weeks back, we discussed about how there was some confusion about how much sales Ola had actually done in February. Do you remember that?
Yes. Other numbers out.
One number said 8,000, Ola said 25. And on the 31st of December, the Road Transport and Highways Ministry asked for a clarification that, what's going on. You had a month now. We're talking about February numbers. It's the 31st of March. Please clarify. How many vehicles did you actually sell in February? Simple. Ola has clarified that no, our figure was correct. We have sold so many vehicles. And here are the details. So the difference, it turns out, or at least that's Ola's version of it, is for a new model and a new vehicle entirely that Ola claims to have sold in February, but they haven't delivered, but they haven't registered. But they're saying that we've got the full payment, and that's when we recognize revenue. We've got the full payment for these vehicles. And so we recognize the revenue in February. And that's why there's a discrepancy. Of course, registrations were a little delayed because we were changing vendors and bringing registrations in-house. Wait, Ola's actual official response. I'm cherry picking one paragraph, but this is the entire paragraph. Okay. To be clear, the sales figures for February 2025 represent genuine customer demand backed by financial commitment. Emphasis there's not meant. I don't talk like that. Not token amount bookings. Nearly 90% of these orders were paid in full at the time of placement. This includes customer orders for our new products, Gen 3 and Roadster X, which have been available for full purchase, not just pre-booking. Again, emphasis there's during February 2025. So Ola is saying We launched these new models in Feb 2025, and enthusiastic buyers paid us in full and said, "You deliver it whenever it's ready. Take my money right now," which is unusual for EVs. They usually take a token booking amount, like Ola admitted. So apparently, these handful of people, about 20,000 people, paid the entire amount. And so Ola, in continuation with its accepted accounting practices, recognized that as revenue, even though those vehicles were not registered, because I don't think they're ready yet. Because if they were, they would have been delivered, right? Or maybe the bottleneck is in registration. I know this sounds murky, probably deliberately so. The confusion still persists. Giving Ola the benefit of the doubt, these vehicles have to be registered sometime. The sale has happened. You're actively manufacturing them. Maybe they're ready also. They're in your warehouse. You're just waiting to sort out the registration RTO challenges that you're facing, which again, that's quite a long time for them to iron it out. Maybe they've done it already, but there's still no clarity on what happened when those vehicles get registered. So what I'm struggling to understand, and I've spent a good half hour today trying to understand this. Why do this, right? You're chugging along. You just say, yeah, we have new models coming, and we were changing vendors, and that's why sales didn't happen. It's okay. Why throw out that big number? Bloomberg has been putting out piece after piece, calling out Ola, basically saying, no, this doesn't tally with that. There's a discrepancy here. You don't have these licenses, whatever. So the beef continues as of now.
So, 2 points. Firstly, I think you're too skeptical. Like, I bought 5 of these, fully paid. I'm waiting for delivery eagerly, but even if it takes like 5 years, I'm very happy. Like, I support the company. I support Make in India. So, I think you're too skeptical. Second is this, again, it reminds me of an American billionaire, right? That our Indian billionaire is a big fan of. Who does this? Who takes big advances against cars that might pop up years into the future?
Right.
I think even MKBHD bought a Roadster too.
Which is genius, right? You're getting it's a Starbucks model. You're getting people to prepay you, and you get to use the float. I'm perfectly fine with that. Take the booking amount, use it for R&D, use it to set up manufacturing. Brilliant. Whoever thought of it first, the fact that you also are using the same strategy, brilliant. I have no issues with that. Why call it revenue?
Booking it as revenue is
They're saying no, that's standard accounting practice, which okay, it is. You document once when you're going to recognize revenue, and then you consistently follow that same practice so that analysts and accountants know when something is off or whether your figures match. This is where Byju's tripped up, incidentally, in
absolutely.
revenue. Yeah.
But Byju started out selling CDs, right, or floppy disks, and booking the full revenue as hardware, as computer hardware.
Yeah.
Because they were giving videos on CDs or
They had their own devices, their own tablets.
tablets, yes, and just booking the entire revenue as computer hardware sales.
Wherever it was basically SaaS, right? Or their revenue recognition should have been the same as Netflix's, for example, because they were delivering content, and maybe they had an LTV for the customer that this student who we have suckered into this agreement is going to stay with us for the next 2 years. But then you recognize 1/24th of that revenue every month. Yeah, these guys recognize the entire 24 months of revenue upfront.
So I was checking out Cybertruck sales because a bunch of stuff has happened. Cybertruck was launched in November 2019. The concept, obviously. Tesla says it received 146,000 reservations in the first 1.5 days. As of March 2024, the Tesla Cybertruck waitlist has over 2 million people. So that is, looking at an old story about bookings, over 2 million people. And Mr. Musk has been on record multiple times saying the demand is in the millions. So what happened is mid 2024 and onwards, there have been a bunch of recalls. So this is where the pedal hits the metal, right? Except in Cybertruck's case, the pedal was hitting the metal too much, and they actually had to recall for that also. True story. You would press the acceleration pedal, and it would just get stuck. So So sidebar. So now I am opening up. I will not look at the AI preview. No, thank you. Actual sales. Yeah. So as of June 2024, a total of 11,600 had been sold. By October, cumulative sales at 27,000. By November, they started falling. Thanks to these recalls, we know that total sales in 2024, because for a couple of these recalls, they had to bring everything back into the shop. So they have to announce that. 38,000 out of bookings that were in the millions. So again, the same thing. The bookings are not really financial data, right? They're internal data to the company. So bookings were in the millions. Actual sales in 2024, 38,000.
Ola registered sales of 23,430 units in March, which would keep it in line with the trend that they've set, given so far, of having 20 plus thousand units of monthly sales. Now we need to see if March registrations show up the backlog and the March sales.
They wouldn't, right? If these are for future product, then it could take a long time till. So, but wait, they're saying that the products have been released or launched or announced.
No, they launched a new model and a new generation of one of the existing models. And they said you can start buying it right away. We won't start delivering it.
So yeah, exactly. So then it could take 6 months, a year also, right? Till we know that the deliveries have become.
Not how the rest of the industry works.
No, but also look, Cybertruck was totally 34,000 in a year, and Ola electric scooters are doing like 27,000 in a month. Mr. Agarwal has overtaken Mr. Musk. This is very cool. Make in India is working.
Excluding China.
Excluding China.
This is too easy. So yeah, I don't have a point to make here. Just that unfortunately the clarity that I was hoping for has not come yet. It's still a he said, she said situation. So we will have to wait for things to clear up. And I'm not going to wait for 6 months or a year, like you said. I don't think the markets will either. Because
people have already paid, right? What happens if he says, okay, they say you'll get delivery in 2 months, and then they don't? How good are our regulators?
No, no. I'm not going to be baited into that argument. Or the relationship between Ola and or any large automobile company and its customers is the power lies entirely with the manufacturer, right? They can do as they please with customers. I'm not saying they can or they should or they do, but the incentives are that way. It's much easier for a large corporation to railroad somebody who's just saying, I've paid you money, deliver the product to me, unless they go to a consumer forum and ask for a refund or whatever, which maybe 1 or 2% of the people will do. And they finally get tired. Or they take delivery and there are issues and they set the scooter on fire, which has also happened with Ola, unfortunately. But Ola and its management is much more exposed to the vagaries of the market. Right? They're answerable to analysts and they're actually answerable there, because if the answers are not convincing, there's a direct impact. So who knows, I'm actually tempted to join in on the next earnings call that happens. We just finished a quarter, although Ola usually does it next month, I think. I'm not sure. I'll look it up. Who knows?
Let's do that. Let's infiltrate. Are we allowed?
Yeah, anyone can.
And you don't need to have shares, right? You can just join in.
Yeah, you could be a potential investor, right?
I could be a potential buyer.
Yeah, who knows?
No. Sorry, what am I saying? I own 5 of them. I've registered. Not registered. I have purchased. Yes. I have paid on my credit card. Aa rahe honge. Amazon will probably be sending them tomorrow afternoon.
Bhavish, if you're watching, he's kidding. This is hyperbole. It's a form of humor.
Story number 2. There are AI benchmarks, because AI models can be quite complicated. And that is what is the opposite of hyperbole? They can be very, 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 very complicated. And I think if I open up ChatGPT right now, I want to see how in the drop-down menu, how many models do I see? Oh, there's a more models sub-menu. Yeah, there is a GPT-4o, there is a GPT-4o with scheduled tasks, there is a GPT 4.5, good for writing and exploring ideas. GPT-O1 uses advanced reasoning, O3 mini, fast at advanced reasoning. So O1 uses advanced reasoning and O3 mini is fast at advanced reasoning. So why would I use O1? I'm assuming it's slower at advanced reasoning. O3 mini high, great in coding and at coding and logic, but it says high, so maybe it is on some substances. GPT-4o mini, faster for most questions. What does most mean? Like, which questions is it not faster for? And GPT-4, which is a legacy model. So I'm guessing that's third generation business. So yeah, there are a lot of, and this is just, by the way, one company I'm talking about. And because it gets complicated, there are some companies that do benchmarks, some websites. So they've put up certain tasks and people can come try them out and notice performance. In terms of, they've actually tried to codify what is reasoning, because reasoning is considered one major skill. We briefly touched upon this before, especially when DeepSeek launched, but how do you start at one place? How do you work your way through a problem? And how do you arrive at a solution? It's like those, I don't know if you've ever given an interview for a consulting firm, but they have a few very cliched questions like, I was asked how many windows are there in Bombay. I think I was interviewing for, was it PwC or Accenture, some 2008, 2009. And he's like, don't use any data.
What was your answer? What was your answer? What was your reasoning? Since that is what they were looking for.
Like, break it down into how many buildings of all kinds are in Bombay. How many people live in Bombay? How many households? How many whatever. But the man was really interesting. He was like, don't use any data. Like, okay, so I kept breaking it down. Right. And at one point I got into, there are so many people in Bombay. Right. The population. He's like, don't use any data. I'm like, hey? Kahin to I have to use data. Like something I have to break it down into. So, but yeah, coming back, I have too many sidebar rants always in my mind. But yeah, so coming back, so reasoning, this is what they try to do. So there are benchmarking companies that see speed, that see reasoning potential. I won't even get into how they define AGI. That's maybe next week I should do CoreWeave and AGI. This week I just didn't have time to study CoreWeave. But yeah, Meta came out with 2 new models over the weekend named Scout and Maverick. I think they're going for Top Gun or something, which is, well, these names are still better than 4O and 4O Mini and 4O Mini High. So, and very quickly rose up the ranks in like a couple of days, went to number 2 in the ranks, beating most of the competition. And they put out a press release highlighting the score. So there is this site called LM Arena, Learning Model Arena, where people do these benchmarks.
Right.
They put out a press release with the score, and which is higher than OpenAI's 4.0 model. I don't know if that's the most advanced or is there a 4.0 high. And just below Gemini, which is Google's AI. And there was fine print that this model that they are testing on these sites is not the actual model that has been released. So the phone industry has crept over into the AI industry and people are giving benchmarks. Well done, tech industry. It's the same logic everywhere. It's the same philosophy everywhere. They are faking benchmarks, AI benchmarks. This is a very common phenomenon and seen many, many, many times in the phone industry in multiple ways. One is the obvious one. There are a few common benchmarks. Antutu is one which has very, very high numbers in the hundreds of thousands. I don't know what any of them mean. There are a few GPU benchmarks, and companies have been known to just optimize for those apps. Companies have been known to, okay, if someone downloads this app and loads it, the benchmarking app, shut down everything else and just go into extreme high power mode. Then other apps which are testing battery life, shut down everything else, go into extreme low power mode. It's like the phone version of what Volkswagen did with the pollution testing.
Or another analogy is how countries try to game the ease of business rankings.
I don't know any country that's done that. That's tried to do that. No, not at all. I don't know anyone who's done that.
Multiple countries do that, not in South Asia, in the rest of the world.
In the rest of the world, yeah.
What do you think, Vanyan? Yeah, I'm talking about South American countries. They tend to do that.
Banana states.
Yeah.
Banana republics. Banana state would be Kerala because they do actual bananas. This is
Your story. Sorry, your story is
No, it's just that. It's just gaming in the world, gaming.
fine. Yeah, whatever you measure will be manipulated. It's those are the
So I can go into a nice sidebar about gaming benchmarks. Literally gaming benchmarks in a different way. Gaming benchmarks. Our favorite billionaire, international one, not Indian one. He has been talking about his gaming creds for many years. That he's a gamer, an ardent gamer. If anyone is new here and doesn't know our favorite billionaire, it's Mr. Musk. He's our favorite billionaire.
I'm kind of talking about that chess guy.
No.
Sorry.
And the follow-up post which said, obviously I used a computer when I was playing with Mr. Vishwanathan Anand. You would do the same. Obviously I did it. Why would you even expect that I wouldn't? Sorry, you were saying? So Elon Musk has been saying for many years that he's a top-notch gamer. He's released screenshots and whatnot. Now rumors started spreading late last year in the gaming community that he's cooking the numbers. He's hiring other people to play for him. Now in the gaming community runs on street cred, right? How good a gamer you are. And if someone challenges you that you're cooking numbers, it hits you. It hurts you. And also, why would you cook up something like this in the first place? For cred. So someone attacking that cred, then it hurts. So our man has been doing more and more streams of him playing games. And then people started accusing him of just completely somebody else was playing the game and he's just looking around, pretending to play. So it got worse. Then he started playing a game. I will look up the name and I will share the story in the show notes. All game names sound the same to me. Act of God, Act of War, God of War, War of God, Chaos of Evil, Evil of Chaos, something. They're all like something of something, right? So you're playing something. He's in tutorial mode, just starting the game. And he gets killed multiple times.
I believe they're called noobs. I'm not up with the lingo.
And it's fine being a noob.
But that's what the tutorials are for, right?
Yeah, like it's okay. No man can do everything. You're running 6 companies
And the government.
and a government. You have been sending people to Mars since 2013. This is an amazing screenshot of a video interview of his, a YouTube video. The title of that video is, I will send people to Mars in 10 years. And below that, YouTube gives that time frame right on the video. It says 13 years ago. So yeah, why do this? It comes back to why show that this is the revenue. It's okay, you've got bookings, great. Why try to show it as revenue? But it's fun. It's been fun. And he's doing more and more of these, and poor guy. It's not going well for him.
Yeah. I almost feel bad.
All games. Poor billionaires. Poor richest men in the world.
I have an impromptu AI story.
Yes.
There's an automobile forum called Team BHP.
Yep.
India's largest, as far as I know. And among other things, there's also this is old school forum architecture, right? In that you have the core subject which you can talk about, and then anybody can start a thread on anything. And so you have people discussing their watches and their vacations and whatever. One guy, I think it's a guy, started a thread saying, open with, look, I don't believe in astrology. All right. However, what if we were to run an experiment? So in real time, he has compelled ChatGPT to give him some predictions for the next 6 months, which are astrologically correct. And he says, I'm now going to keep an eye out on how these things pan out, because apparently ChatGPT has consulted the charts and used the same logic that an astrologer would use. And the thread is up there. I'll share the link with you. You can put it in the show notes. I'm really excited to see where this goes.
Oh, so I want to see the results.
And whether this would have any impact on AstroTalk. Like, why would you pay an astrologer if AI is coming for your astrologer? Who would have thought?
AI is coming for everything, right? I think today I was reading that Shopify has now announced, their CEO has announced, for any new job in the company, first, the hiring manager needs to justify why AI can't do this. That just sounds like a hiring freeze, just couched into like, oh, look, I'm so futuristic. Wow. It's not even like, use AI to do your job better. No. First, prove why this role that you need cannot be done by AI. Have you used AI for anything? Imagine hiring AI as a social media manager. How do you call it?
We'll get there.
It's like, no, it's everything on the internet is those same five emojis now. Everything on the internet is now content that inspires, engages, and resonates.
Uh, Shopify is an interesting company, though. We should talk more about it someday. But anyways, my since we always tend to finish on a happy note, my story number 3, very quickly, since we are way over the 1 hour mark, is that ski instructors in Oli and Gulmarg are selling their ski equipment because there isn't enough snow to justify having a skiing season, and because of that there aren't people coming in, and basically the profession is dying in front of our very eyes in a time scale of years. Like each year the season keeps getting shorter, snowfall keeps getting lesser, the snow melts way sooner, and Oli apparently hosts a pretty big deal event every year, and they've had to cancel it 3 years running now, or 2 years, and then
Aren't there any forests we can chop down to solve this problem? Build a few new malls, IT parks. That will solve the problem. Air conditioning for Oli. Open air conditioners. Let's do that.
yeah. So there is an artificial ski slope in Dubai.
I've been there.
Yeah, in the Mall of the Emirates. So
My reaction was, oh God, why? But yeah, I've been there.
So yeah, this was in the papers this morning, and it saddened me. It's the same with Gulmarg. They're having less and lesser snow. I have seen this story play out a little bit in Monte Carlo, woolens and sweaters, legacy brand. They've been struggling with this for uh, at least 5 years now, that I can tell. That every year winter's coming in later and later, and it doesn't get as cold, and the season ends really soon, and so people just aren't buying as much woolen stuff because they need it for such a small window now that they just make do with what they have, and increasingly it doesn't even get that cold. So people,
Yeah, like I think Bloomberg or whoever, one of these business, whatever, it's like at 4 degrees above the industrial era average, we will all be 40% poorer. No, at 4 degrees above, we'll be 40% dead or 100% dead.
I think there is potential for, if one of the 100 people who will eventually watch this is interested, please get in touch. I would like to do a paper on the specific exposure of listed Indian companies to climate change, especially the smaller ones, which are
Let's do it.
quite says.
I'm in.
Sorry?
I'm in. Let's do it.
Yeah, just these companies have these vulnerabilities, and if we could then map out how every half degree or 0.1 degree of increase, how that would affect their core revenue if they don't diversify in time, which is what Monte Carlo is doing. Monte Carlo does bed sheets now. They have athleisure wear, because what are they going to do? What choice do they have? So that would be fascinating. Well, here's how much each degree or each tenth of a degree of global warming would affect sales of these 10 companies or these 100 companies. I'm sure it's a large number. I would love to do that study.
Let's do this. Yes. Give me a week to like sort things out and then let's figure. Okay. So that's it for the week. Nitesh did say his third story was a happy note. For those who are just listening in, I'm glaring at him right now for depressing me for the rest of the week. See you, Nitesh. See you next week. And bye bye, everyone.